Welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Another exciting show, another exciting guest. Today we're going to go into what's it like to be a single mom and still at the same time empowering not only your daughters, because you got four daughters, I'm about 4 daughters here.
Yes.
Being a role model and still empowering other women at the same time. Today on the show, all the way from Colorado, we have a young lady who's definitely doing that. But at the same time, there was difficulties on this path. A little bit of trauma. We all have it. We all have our stories. And it's funny because all of our stories are almost connected to a degree. So today on the show, let's welcome all the way from Colorado. Make sure I get the name right. Marion Rivera to the show.
Yes. Thank you, Andre. Thank you very much for letting me be on your show and pass along a little bit of knowledge, hopefully.
Now, this is strange. You're in Colorado.
Yes.
But the journey started somewhere in Ohio. Am I correct?
Actually, let's take it back to basics. The journey started in Hoboken, New Jersey, where I was born, where I eventually ended up in Puerto Rico. So I grew up in Puerto Rico. It was challenging at times to grow up there. Talk a little bit of trauma here. I lost my mom at a very young age. Father was nowhere in the picture. Raised by my mom's aunt, who took legal guardianship of me after my mom had passed away. Very challenging childhood. My mom was a teacher, had the patience of a saint. I don't ever remember her, raising her voice to me or anything like that. Very different, being brought up by a strict Catholic aunt. So my childhood, it was challenging, but I think I did pretty well despite all the hurdles. I turned out to be a great person. I try to support everybody that I can. I try to empathize with people more than sympathize, because when you empathize, you really got to put yourself in the other person's shoes and see their perspective, and you can relate to how they actually feel.
Let's just go back a little bit. Let's go back a little bit, because I also lost my mom at a very young age too. But you knew your mom because she, to some degree, correct? What age were you when you lost your mom?
I was 10 years old. Wow. Yes, I was 10 years old.
I just said there's similarities here. Okay, he's 10 years old. Our memories are the same. So let's go back. You're in Puerto Rico when you lose your mom, correct?
Yes, I was.
Didn't know your dad. Did you know anything of your father?
Yes, I did. He was in and out of the picture for a while, for most of my life. So, but nothing consistent, nothing,
Even when you lost your mom, how did you lose your mom, if you don't mind me asking?
She died of breast cancer at 41.
Upon the loss of were you the only child? Are you the only child from your mom?
No, I have another sister, an older sister.
Upon the passing of your mom, did your dad resurface? Did he come back into your life? What was?
Do you want me to be completely honest with you?
Yeah, most definitely.
He resurfaced to see what was in it for him monetarily. And when that led to nothing and he couldn't get anything, then he disappeared again. Yeah. If you don't mind me, I would like to talk about my mom just a little bit.
Yeah, go right ahead.
She was a first lieutenant in the Air Force. She also got her master's in childhood education, so she was also a teacher. She was also head of the volleyball coach of the girls' team in the Air Force. My mom was resilient, despite being sick. And going through chemo treatments and trying experimental, trials and drugs that they had at the time to see if this could be slowed down or if anything, anything to prolong her life, was just resilient. She still went to school. She still got her master's. She still, was always home, always taking care of my sister. It is just the strength that she had is what I admire the most, because I try to think and I try to put myself in that situation, and and you just don't know how you would have handled it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, she was resilient. And I would like to believe that I got most of my strength and most of my resiliency from her. from her.
When you talk about the loss of your mom at such a young age, and now having to go stay with family, been there, I've done that. I know what it's like. But one thing, I'm gonna bring my own personal part in there too, so we can relate.
Of course.
The difficult moments for me with the same type of scenario was the relocation to another state, the loss, trying to understand why the loss happened,
absolutely,
and trying to fit into a completely new environment and be accepted to some degree and still try to function at the same time.
You nailed it. You nailed it. I went through all of that, from the loss of my mom. Like I said to my dad, once he found out there was nothing monetarily involved for him leaving. I do have an older sister, like I previously said, but we have different dads. So after my mom passed away, she went to go live with her dad's family. So not only have I now experienced this traumatic loss, now the only other person that was with me consistently is gone. So it was this completely new environment for me, very scared and just very aware of the unknown at the same time. I do want to thank God because my mom left everything prepared. So it went very smoothly from her passing away to her sister, my aunt adopting me, take a legal guardianship of me till I was 17, managing my money that my mom had left to me. And that transition seemed very smooth to me at the time. As a child, you can't really comprehend the extension of what's going on in the situation. But as I got older, as you get older and you start thinking about things, you just realize, and you have to come to terms with a lot of things like, wow, that was a lot for me to go through. As smooth as the transition seemed, it was a lot to take in at the time. And huge advocate for therapy. I've been in therapy for many years for many different reasons. But it has helped me, like I said previously, come to terms and kind of accept the environment that I grew up in. Wasn't an ideal environment because my aunt was very, very strict and I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things. But at the same time, Hispanic families have a huge sense of community and support. So I also had like my grandma that lived with us most of the time too, and aunts and uncles. So that support, that love that I got definitely helped me go through the situation just a little bit easier.
Let me go back a little bit. You mentioned the cutting the cord from your sister, so to speak.
That was rough.
I was lucky. The family stayed, my siblings stayed, we stayed together, even though my dad wanted to do like what your sister did, wanted to take me. The universe decided to keep the family together. I think that was a big help of my involvement to keep moving forward. But unfortunately with you, your sister went another direction. How did you deal with that? How did both of you guys deal with communication? And more importantly, you got to realize you're 10 years old. You don't even really understand what death really means.
Exactly.
He's not coming back. It's a whole new journey for you now. More importantly, how did you and your sister manage to keep the threads together?
Well, we kept in communication a lot. Like I would call her, I would write to her, back in the 80s when people actually used to write letters and communicate with each other. And she would come to visit like every summer. She would come back to Puerto Rico for like 3 months when she was out of school and got her break. So that's how we just kept connected, like in general. It was, and the funny thing about that is that the environment that she grew up in was the complete opposite of the environment that I grew up in. So when we talk about our childhoods, she sees it a completely different way than I do. And that just like sometimes just makes me think like just how crazy it seems at the moment that somebody who was with you your whole life all of a sudden leaves, but you just have different perspectives on what you experience.
Give me an example of what she experienced versus what you experienced during this transformation.
Okay, well, I'll be honest with you. I experienced the childhood of, like I said, living in Puerto Rico, aunts and uncles and my grandma. It was kind of harsh sometimes. My aunt was very, very, very hard on me. So imagine somebody, it was kind of, I'm not going to say it was emotional abuse. So here we go, dealing with the loss of my mom, dealing with my sister leaving. And now I'm coming into my teenage years. I'm trying to fit it. I'm trying to find myself, like my identity in general. And my sister, she experienced it a completely different way because she went to go live in South America with her dad's side of the family. I'll just say it. They're extremely wealthy, so she grew up in a completely different environment where she really didn't have to do much to be accepted and be loved, and like that sense of community for her came immediately, as opposed to me where I had to like have a voice and kind of keep myself known and kind of keep myself like, hey, I'm here. Like I'm still here. Please don't lose like track of me or lose. I'm here. I'm
Did
here.
you
So
become rebellious at any point? Not just rebellious, but let's get real. Was there a sense of envy?
not yes, of course there was absolutely because I felt like I was like over here in the trenches. Just trying to survive, just trying to like grow up, and I felt like she didn't have to experience any of that. Which now as an adult, of course, that's great for her. Like that's what you would want, for anybody. But looking back, it was just very, very different. My aunt was undiagnosed bipolar. So I have somebody telling me every day, you're not going to make it. You're not like your sister. You don't have the qualities of your mom. You take after your dad. I mean, just stuff that you just don't say to a child or to anybody in general who's just experienced everything that they just gone through. So not only do I had to overcome all of that, like you add that to the mix and it like, just magnify it like 10%,
When
you
did
know?
when did your life be when did your life begin to change? Because I'm gonna put myself in here to help this story
Okay.
by bringing my own personal journey. Fear
Mhm.
factors start to show itself the closer graduation time came. I had no guidance as it went to going to college. I had tons of scholarships, but nobody prepared me for a SAT. Nobody told me what life outside of high school was going to be. Um,
Mhm.
I was unprepared for the world. I wasn't ready for the world. The world was already evolving, but I didn't have the skill sets to evolve with it. What was that like for you? And when did that happen?
That resonates completely with me. And it was right after I had finished high school. Things were so tense between my aunt and I that I didn't go to my graduation. I didn't go to my prom. I didn't do anything. I took my finals, and 2 days later, I was out of my house. That's yes.
Oh my God.
Yes,
That is crazy.
that's how bad it had gotten at that point. But like you said, kind of like what you went through, completely unprepared. Completely unprepared. When you're that age, you think like, no, I got it. I know what I'm doing. Nothing. That's where my sister steps in as my role model. She's the one that was like, no, you got to take the SATs. You got to start looking for colleges. We have to look into financial aid. We have to do this and we have to do that. She was my biggest role model for that. And I thank her for that every day, because if she wouldn't have given me some sense of like, you need to go this way, like kind of guiding me through the process, because she had already started to go through it, my life would be completely different.
Now, did
Completely
you
different.
did you attend all of your schooling years in Puerto Rico?
Um, yes, probably from like third grade till high school. Yeah, to my senior year in high school.
What's it
Yes.
like growing up in Puerto Rico from birth to high school? I mean, I know nothing of the culture. I know some Puerto Ricans, but it's not like that they share with me their culture, because their culture really is more U.S. based, because they didn't spend an entirety of their life from birth to high school. You did. What's that culture like?
It's how is it Puerto Rican culture in general? It's very supported. It's a huge sense of community, family. highlighted the most. That's why you'll see two aunts, two uncles, cousins, a grandma and a grandpa all living together in the same house. It's the culture that family should always be together, should always support each other no matter what's going on. So in Puerto Rico, you get a lot of sense of community, and it is amazing while you're growing up because you're exposed to the culture, you know your roots, you know where everybody came from, and it just gives you a very good sense of pride. Like you're just proud to be Puerto Rican.
Now let's go back. Let's go back a minute. Hold that
Okay.
thought. Hold that thought.
Okay.
I love the sense of family. I love the value structure. I love that. I think the good part about being of a different ethnic group, you get to experience that, but a lot of people don't get to experience that, and it's been broken even in this generation. But let's keep going with this one particular thing that you said. It's cool to have that structure, but you were still dealing with the mental aspect of beginning to develop, not knowing how to develop, but more importantly, you're dealing with an aunt who was later diagnosed with a serious illness. How much of a mental aspect goes into your culture? Because had that been diagnosed,
Oh, it'd be way different. Yeah.
thank you.
She would have been diagnosed, and hopefully she would have been on medication and, and just functioned better. She was pretty unbearable at times. It was really hard. Because like I said before, dealing with the trauma, dealing with the loss, trying to find your way as a teenager, but with having somebody also putting you down all the time and then walking on eggshells. Let's not forget that, because you don't know what's going to trigger. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know if it's something I said, I did, I didn't do. So it was extremely hard to manage all that. Like I said, therapy, a lot of talk therapy, a lot of just coming to terms with a lot of things. But I overcame
Did
it.
you go to therapy while you was still in high school?
Yes, I went to she actually took me to therapy like maybe a week after my mom died. They just wanted me to, they wanted me for me to have an outlet. They wanted me to talk. They wanted me, because like I said, at the time when you're 10, you don't realize what's going on. And since, like I said before, they made that transition so seamless, it seemed like everything was okay. But as I was getting older, coming into my teenage years, I had a lot of questions about stuff. And let's be honest, I had a lot of anger inside of me. Like, not only like, why did this happen, and why, or, the unknown uncertainty of the situation. Like, I also developed a lot of anger because at the same time, I was like, why am I being treated like this? Why am I your punching bag? I don't understand.
Marion, did you share the emotional abuse that you was getting from your aunt with your therapist? And if so, how did they tell you to deal with it? And, because saying to me, if you're in therapy for that amount of time and a lot of your triggers are being displayed in the house,
Yes.
I mean, it seemed like they would have said something to your aunt. Like, hey, you know what? You ever thought about being tested?
To be honest with you, I don't know if anybody ever approached her and like maybe asked her that, but I do remember my therapist kind of like bringing her in like after I had, my session or whatever, kind of like explaining to them, listen, like, this isn't right. Like, you shouldn't be talking to her a certain way. You shouldn't be making it harder for her than it is right now, because she's still a child and she's still trying to like, figure stuff out and whatnot. But therapy, yes, I mean, I've always been a huge advocate for it, and I lay all my cards on the table. What you see is what you get. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going through, how I'm feeling, how can I, how do I deal with this? And they would suggest and kind of tell me, you know what, she's really not going about it the right way. We understand that. They're like, she's a product of her environment. She's a product of like what she saw maybe growing up, and she's trying to do the best that she can, with you. But yeah, they agreed. They're like, she's not going about it the right way. She's not being very nice about it. She's not being very considerate about it. So I had to find ways to kind of deal with that challenge.
When you
It was
decided,
hard.
yeah,
It was
I
hard.
bet it is. When you decided to leave, and go
Mhm.
stateside, what was that like for you, and what made you decide to leave your structure? Even though your aunt was later diagnosed, I mean, that's still the family structure. You had a supporting cast there, but you want to move on. You want to experience the world. So, what made you decide to come to the United States, and where did you land once you took the boat and you came over here?
I decided to leave because I was 17 when I graduated high school. So let's step back and remind you that she had legal guardianship of me till I was 18. Tensions were high. Like I said, never didn't go to graduation and go to prom. I was like, mail me my diploma later. I'll deal with it later. She was fine with that because she knew that I was going. I needed to leave. But my sister, once again, was that role model for me. So my sister had already finished college and had taken a year off because she wasn't really, she didn't know exactly what she wanted to do. So the condition for me to leave Puerto Rico is that you can leave, but you have to go where your sister's at because technically I have legal guardianship of you till you're 18 and I'm really not supposed to let you leave. I'm like, that's fine. Let's pack up everything and let's go. When once I got to once I got to the mainland, I ended up in Arlington, Virginia, because that's where my sister was at, trying to figure out what she wanted to do after college. So I ended up there with her, let's say for about 3 months. She figured out what she wanted to do. She got into Harvard Law School. She's like, now we're going to Boston. I'm like, Boston, here we come. So then I moved to Boston for 3 years. I did go to college. I did not finish. I think that has to do with part of the immaturity and not being able to experience stuff as a teenager back home. I kind of felt like like I was a jailed bird. And once you open that cage up, I was like, holy hell, here we go.
Right, right.
Like now I went crazy. Let's be honest. I made friends. I went out. I found a part-time job, but I had things that I should have been able to do in high school. So maybe when I got over here to the mainland, I wouldn't have gotten a little bit crazy. But once again, my sister was there. She's always been my mentor. She stepped into that role like, hey, focus, focus, focus. Wasn't for me. At the time, I was just focused on other things. And that's just kind of like how life has taken me in like different directions.
So let's move forward a little bit. You're in the States. Your sister's focused. You're wild and free right now, but you have 4 daughters. So life begins to change when you have daughter 1.
Mm-hmm.
What
And that
begins
would
to
be,
happen?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, go
That
ahead.
would
What
be,
begins to happen then?
well, let's backtrack a little bit. After we left Boston and everything, we ended up in Ohio. That's how I got to Ohio because once again, I followed my sister to Ohio because after she was done with her schooling, she married somebody from Ohio. So
What
now
part
I
of
landed in
Ohio were
Ohio.
you at? What part of Ohio?
In Rocky River, Westlake area, which is the west side of Ohio, like west of the city, like maybe,
I know exactly where you're at. You're in Cleveland, Ohio, but you're in the
yeah,
suburbs
in
of
the suburbs
Rocky.
on the west side. Yeah.
You know how I know? Because I lived in Avon Lake.
No, you didn't. I also lived in Bay Village. Crazy.
Small world here. Small world here.
Yeah.
So you over in
Wow.
Rocky River. You over in Rocky River area.
Yep.
Okay.
So I have daughter number one in 2000. Things start to change. I had moved to Ohio in 1996. So I have my first daughter. I had a steady job at that time, and it's just kind of like me and my daughter doing our thing. Her dad and I separated early into the relationship. But here I am, first time single mom, holding it down, have a job, taking care of my daughter. Everything was going fine at that time. Once again, got to bring my picture into the sister. She moves from Ohio, relocates here to Colorado. I stay with my daughter there and just, I do my thing. I do my thing to the best of my ability, taking care of her, working, hustling, doing what I had to do for my daughter. Daughters, I'm sorry, were you
No,
going to
no,
say
no.
something?
I'm
Okay.
listening.
Other daughters come into the picture years later. Second daughter comes into the picture in 2006. Third daughter comes into the picture in 2009. Fourth daughter comes into the picture in 2010. So Uh, Kind of like an age gap there. Just want to let you know that my youngest three daughters are from a different partner that I had. My youngest is from, a previous relationship. Uh, it's been a ride. How can it not be a ride with four daughters? I try to do my best. I hold it down. I work full time. But my priorities are my daughters.
Right.
They're girls in a society where everybody wants to dictate to you how you have to look, how you have to fit in, how you should be thinking a certain way. I'm like, no, that's not, no, that's not what I'm trying to get my daughters to focus on. I'm trying to raise strong women that have a moral compass in them that's not going to falter no matter where they end up in life. Show you manners, show you discipline so that when you get out on your own, you know how to do basic things for yourself.
What's the biggest, not to cut you off, what's the biggest fear factor? Because we got three daughters, different time periods, a single mom, the dad's whatever. What's the fear factors here? Because you can see one, that's your pride and joy. Just call it what it is. Your first, you protect like Mama Bear. The second one, you kind of get used to it, but still, you're still dealing. You're still a mom. Then you got two, three. What are the fear factors here? Because now I know the ideal is to keep the dad there, but it didn't work out. What's the fear factors here?
The fear factor is that they're all girls. They're all women. I have to play the role of mom and dad. Um, so it takes a lot out of me. It takes a lot out of me, like emotionally and physically and mentally, because I just want my daughters, given that the environment and the way the world is nowadays, with so much uncertainty and with just fear of the unknown in general, I want to have them centered. I want to have them be like, nope, mom taught me, like mom is a great example. You don't stop. You keep hustling. Hurdles are going to come up. Yes. And you're going to be distracted and different things are going to be thrown at you, but you have to stay focused. I just want you to stay focused. They have my support 100% no matter what they do. I'll go to bat for any of my daughters any day. That's never going to change till the day I die. It's just, it is what it is. But mostly, having to play a dual role of mom and dad, it's challenging. It's challenging. What do they call that? Like a feminine, masculine kind of like energy, because you're the one, you're like the top dog, and you got to be in charge of everything and kind of like play both roles. But yeah, I mean that's a fear of the unknown. That's a big fear.
When did you decide to go to Colorado? Because it's not like where you lived in Ohio was bad. I know that area. I know the Avon Lake. I know that
awesome.
is a great suburb area, period.
Yes.
But you wind up moving.
I ended up moving, to be honest with you, for some personal issues that I had going on at the time with the father of my three youngest daughters. So I left. I thought about the situation. I'm like, this is a great situation to just take myself out of the situation and just go start anew and start a new journey. Start something, where I'm leaving the stuff that I had going on in the past, and now I'm just focused on me and focused on my kids. My sister lived here. She moved here in 2015. So that's when I was going through all this stuff. She's like, no, you get out of Ohio, come to Colorado. You're going to love it here. It's beautiful. You got my support. We'll figure this out. And that's how I ended up here in 2015.
To look at your social media, you would not think that your life was a combination of all of these situations, because but it just goes to show, even with all of the stuff that you went through, there's light at the end of the rainbow. I see nothing but empowerment every time I'm looking at following your journey through your social media. Strong.
Thank you.
Empowerment. Thank you. Now you're in Colorado, and you're on a mission to empower women in a total different light. To what do you think women are missing? What do you think they're missing that makes you want to empower them? What are they missing?
I think they're missing self-confidence, self-worth. They might be stuck in a situation where, like, I can't get out of it. Like there's just no way to get out of it. You have to take that mentality and throw it out the window. It's gone. You're worth it. You're worth it. You can get yourself out of where you're at. It just with a little planning, but with a little bit of planning comes a lot of support. You have to surround yourself with people that are going to keep you grounded and be like, no, 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 you got this. You got this. You can do this. I want my story to resonate with other women who might be stuck or might be like, oh no, I can't do it. It's too late. Oh, it's never too late. Like I said before, I'm 52 years old. I'm trying to start my journey now.
Let's go back. What was, give an example of a moment that it's easy said and done. It's always easy for somebody to say you can get out of something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's also difficult to have empathy to walk in somebody's shoes.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go deeper. Let's take them. We're using you as an example because you're the foot soldier.
Absolutely.
What was the moment that you had to get out of? What was that moment for you?
The moment that I had to get out of probably happened to me about 5 years ago when I was in a situation where my partner that I had before during COVID just upped and left. No real reasoning, no real, just decided, I'm done. I don't want to handle the situation anymore. So I'm just going to leave. That was my moment. I said, oh, no, no, no. And I wasn't employed at the time. I was staying home with my kids for a little bit, trying to figure out what I wanted to do for work, what direction everything was going to go in. That automatically it made my mind click. I was a completely different mindset now. No, you got this. You got this. You've been through all this before and you've made it out. No, you got this. Put yourself out there. Start talking to people. Start using your voice for other people. Maybe your story resonates with somebody else and they can be like, you know what, if she's doing it, why can't I? Why? Don't stay silent. Just you need to advocate for yourself. It's a huge thing to advocate for yourself. And I did all that. I was like, nope, this is my defining moment. I'm going to get a job. Life goes on. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I just keep kicking ass or trying to kick ass every day.
But do you think it's easy for you to kick ass because of the support system that you have? It's not that easy for individuals that don't have that
support.
So what I'm going with this is you're now empowering women. So let's go and tell the women, what are the 3 things that you will put in place to help them get the support system? Because it's not as easy as picking up and leave. It's not as easy to do that. So what are 3 things that you will put in place for women to say, okay, if you're in this situation, A, B, and C, this is the first thing I would do. This is the second thing I would do. And this is the third thing I would do.
The first thing I would say that I would do is get help. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. Somebody's always willing to help you. You just have to, check out the resources that are available to you, whether it be in your local community, online, anything. The local library, go read, you know what I'm saying? Like you just have to realize the resources that are out there, get a hold of what you think resources would help you and support you, because support is one of the major things that you need. Secondly, I would tell them, like I said before, don't be afraid to ask for help, but also don't be afraid to advocate for yourself, to reach out to people and seek some kind of support, whether that be in church, at work, at your job. I think there's a lot of resources out there that people don't know that they're available to them. Put everything into perspective. Kind of like think about everything that you've gone through. Kind of think about it as a teaching experience. Think about how instead of you letting that break you, let it define you. Find that strength and just really think about it. Just really think about it. Come up with some kind of a strategy, if possible, to come up with a strategy saying no. And take things step by step. I think this is the biggest thing. Take it step by step. It's not like you have to have a full blown out plan and be like, oh no, I have to make it all the way. I got to go this way. No, take one step at a time. One step at a time. It's not about rushing to do things and getting the end result. There's a journey that you have to go on, and the steps that you take to get there are going to lead you through. They're going to show you the light at the end of the tunnel.
You now have four daughters. Did I get it right?
Yes, I have 4 daughters.
4 daughters.
3 of them are teenagers.
How do they view their mom? How do they view their mom now?
That is a great question, because we were talking about this the other day with me trying to, on social media, trying to do stuff like that. I think I don't think I know that they're proud of me, but being that the age that they are, it's kind of weird for them. Like, ew, that's my mom. Like, what is she doing? Why is she trying to put herself out there and talk and do this and do that? And I just want to tell them, why not? Why not? It doesn't matter what age you're at or what you're doing. Like, why not? If you want to support and help people, why not do it? I tell them that every day. I'm like, don't you do that in school? Don't you support people? Don't you talk to your friends? Don't you, relate to people? So it's a little awkward for them. I think it's a little awkward that I'm all exposed and all putting myself all out there. My oldest daughter, who's 27, is a fierce supporter of mine. She thinks it's outstanding. She's like, Mom, I'm so proud of you. I can't believe that you're doing this.
What does she think you should share mostly with people at 27 years old? Because for her to be one of your biggest cheerleaders,
Always been.
there had to be something about you guys' bond that she saw you go through. What does she want you to capitalize more with the public?
She's like, Mom, you need to just put yourself out there. She knows how I am personally. She knows that I'm kind of like what you see is what you get. And I'm funny, and I try to bring light to the situation. I'm just always encouraging people. She's like, Mom, that's what you need to bring to like the platform. She's like, other women your age. She's like, not only your age, but younger, older, they need to see you. Just be who you are and just put yourself out there. She's like, not everybody's like that. Like, everybody has different problems that they have going on in their life, whether they be physical or emotional or anything that everybody's in. She's like, Mom, anytime I'm around you, she's like, I feel that energy. She feels it.
You're 52 years old, beautiful at 52 years old.
Thank you.
But what messages are you getting from the women that are your age and the young women? Because every time I look at the social media, I'm either seeing OnlyFans ad or a woman's trying to get approval, likes and stuff. I'm not seeing a woman really talking about empowerment more so than trying to outdo the other woman as far as looks.
No, and you shouldn't, and you shouldn't do that. Once again, that goes back to the stereotype of you have to look a certain way and you have to carry yourself a certain way. No, beauty comes from within. As long as you're happy and you love with what you see in the mirror, go keep doing your thing. Women shouldn't be knocking each other down. Oh, well, you don't look like this, or, you don't do this, or you don't do that. I'm not like that. There's no reason to be catty. There's no reason to be hating on people. Women need to support each other, no matter what they're doing.
What would you tell the young girl at 17 that just flew free falling like Icarus all through the sun and wish that she made it? Because you said something, you said, I was immature. I wish I had to finish school and stuff. But what would you tell that Icarus female that's flying free falling?
I probably would go back and tell her, focus more on going to school and finishing. But I also would tell her that I'm proud of her for everything that she went through, that life changes all the time, and that what you might be experiencing right now or feeling right now, one day you will be proud of that. You'll be proud of yours, and you'll acknowledge your own resilience and your own strength.
Such a great story. Glad you had the time to come and share it. Definitely,
yes, thank you very much.
Definitely a lot I always tell people that come on the show, I always say, you know what? We all have a common thread. If you just take time to listen with empathy, and you'll be surprised at the end what actually happened and how much you guys actually have in common.
Yes.
With that said, how can the viewers help you to launch your journey, your career, and more importantly, inspire other women and other individuals, period, not necessarily women?
Exactly. Because I want to be a voice for everybody. I do have a website, which is www.marionrivera.com. You can send me messages through there. You can get a hold of me. I also I'm on Instagram. Huge on Instagram. That's my main social media platform. My name on Instagram is just Marion Rivera 4854. I'm trying to, I'm still kind of like learning this whole thing about social media. So I'm going to be posting more reels and posting more videos and stuff. But this is all very new to me. I love it. I love it. I just want to be out there telling people, do your thing. No matter what you've gone through, we got this. Let's do this. If you want to reach out to me for support and talk to me, reach out to me. I'll talk to you. I have no problem with that. But it's still, it's like a learning process. It's a learning process, but I just love the people that have like contacted me, like supporters, followers, like, oh my God, we think this is kick ass what you're doing. Please don't stop. Please be another voice for us. Please just keep putting yourself out there. We think it's great. That's been awesome. When every time I get a text or an email or anything from anybody other than my family, right? Because, family's always going to be there. They're always going to be like elevating. You're like, okay. But when you receive it from other people from like outside, it's just, what a great feeling. What a great feeling.
I'm glad that you decided to take that leap of faith and get on social media, and more importantly, take the time to come on the Andre The Beast Crayton show and share such a beautiful story. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been, once again, another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton show.
Thank you very much for having me on.